Welcome to Press Review this morning. How are you? My name is Ijoma. If you are well seated and ready, we'll take a break. When we'll come back, we'll bring you Press Review. Come again. It is Press Review, and I have Dominic Okabwe, a public affairs analyst, joining me this morning to look at the pages of the newspaper. Good morning, Dominic.
Good morning. Good morning, our viewers. Thank you.
It's good to have you here. All right, as usual, we'll begin from the beginning by getting to our website to find out the stories that are trending there. The first one says Anambra State Government forwards 4 bills to State Assembly. And then Soludo receives more recommendations for massive road infrastructural development. Anambra State Assembly Speaker Udeze seeks more interventions to improve welfare of persons with disabilities. Anambra 2025 budget will create wealth opportunities, Industry Commissioner says this. And the Anambra State Blind Students Association celebrates 2024 get-together in Onitsha. The late Mrs. Teresa Okoye buried in Nebo. Nigeria plays force restores confidence in combating crime. Reps move to tackle delay in contract executions. And finally, from here, Guinea's government investigates clashes that claims cause of lives at football match. These and many more are the stories you'll find from our website this morning, www.absradiotv.com. Yes, Namdi, any story of interest to you here?
Yes. You see, I am particularly happy with the story that says that Governor Soludo is embarking on very massive infrastructural development in Anambra State. That is an undisputed fact. Anambra is a state where you see walk everywhere. And I think that is highly commendable. The governor is doing massive in the area of road infrastructure and in virtually every other sectors of the economy. But that infrastructure is wonderful. It is highly commendable. And that's great.
Okay.
Yeah,
and then let's talk about the welfare of the people.
Yes, the Speaker of the House of the Speaker of the Anambra State House of Assembly, Right Honorable Udeze, have called, for the welfare of the people living with disabilities. I think that is a welcome development because in most cases you see people segregate people living with disabilities. They are individuals like us. Okay, most of them found themselves in that condition not because it is natural. Some of them are accidents which can happen to anybody. So what is important is to accommodate them as a critical component of the the citizens and the members of the society. People shouldn't segregate. Carry them along. Whatever that is given to A should be given to B. If there are cases where they need to get employment, let them get employment just like every other person. I think that is what is important. And the call is a very welcome development. And I think it is quite, fantastic.
Okay, thank you very much. Nigeria plays first restores confidence in combating cybercrime. Is it just cybercrime? I think there's aspects of criminality all over the place.
It has to be extended because cybercrime is not the only crime. Have you talked about kidnapping that is rampant in these days, you know, and stealing of, you know.
Much more than the cybercrime.
So cybercrime is no longer the bone of contention. It is it is even lesser, you know, to compare with the menace of kidnapping and what have you. So it has to be generalized and elaborated to cover several aspects of the challenges we have in terms of security.
I see. Okay, let's move on now as to get into the papers. What happened in Guinea yesterday is what nobody can explain.
Yes.
How hundreds of people died, lost their life just because they went to watch match.
It's an unfortunate incident.
Hi.
It is part of the security, you know, issue we are talking about. Because a place of that kind needs to be safeguarded. Do you understand? Because this is a place where people gather to watch match, make themselves happy, and have fun. So it is expected that security should be guaranteed in such, you know, places. Unfortunately, you see what we are reading now is a very unfortunate incident, and the government must have to investigate to know actually what transpired, and then work towards averting it, you know, to guard against future occurrences. So it's unfortunate.
Diligent investigation are not the kind of ones we see here that we are investigating and you won't get to hear any results or the result of the investigation. Okay, let's venture into the papers and see what's trending this morning. The first paper I have here is the Daily Independent. On top of the name template, BRICS. Nigeria looks to France after Trump's threat. Was that, you know, some of us were even saying that that Trump was just an AI imagination. Okay, Nigeria orders paid $1.4 trillion to service foreign debt in 2023. This is coming from World Bank. But the banner headline on the Daily Independent this morning says, governors back administrative financial autonomy for local governments. With some riders there, local government reforms, more urgent need for Nigeria. This is coming from Red Speaker, and there says local governments need autonomy to respond to needs of communities. Decries poor quality of elections into councils across the state. Oh, was it really poor? Okay, you guys will tell us better. Now, so passed tax reform bills, heavens won't fall. This is coming from Dixon. And who is Dixon? Dixon. Ondoguba, court dismisses Bola Ajayi suit seeking to disqualify Yedatiwa deputy. NLC describes 2024 as year workers faced worst economic crisis. Okay, and here, Abakaba links a tax reform bill's dispute to over-centralization of power. And then workers getting 250,000 minimum wage won't boost productivity. This is coming from MPC, that's National Population Commission. Okay. And then tax reform bills not to impoverish the North. Presidency is saying this with a rider there. It says it will help overburden Nigerian investors. Okay. Yeah, any other story of interest? Minimum wage, Wifru threatens to sack striking Ebonyi workers. That story is on page 6 of the Daily Independent. You don't have right to say that you don't like what anybody is doing to you again in this country. If you try, you'll be faced with stiffer penalty. That's what we are getting from our leaders. Let's look at Blueprint. Blueprint newspapers, please. Okay. Stop probe of Nigerian military, AGF Fabemi tells ICC. As the story we get by the side of that paper. But on top of the net template, let's see, Port Harcourt Refinery never stop operations, says a lesser community. This sounds funny. So why were you guys importing fuels from outside if you are still producing? And what is the quantity of fuel you have been producing, and who have you been supplying? Is the question. Okay, tax reform bills do not recommend scrapping of TET fund. Nesane and Tidda presidency, okay, says no provision will impoverish the North. No provision will impoverish the North, okay? It's massive incentive to working class. Abakaba says this, while Tambawa, Dixon differ. Dixon. Okay. Any other story here? EFCC makes history, recovers 753 duplexes from government official. With a rider there, agency trains 100 officers on forensic examination. Okay. Outcry as OPay, others begin 50 naira levy on transactions above 10,000. Okay, I'll be taking 5,000 now. Okay, time not on our side to fix Nigeria, Obi of furniture. Time not on our side to fix Nigeria. Nigeria seeks South Africa's backing for G20 BRICS membership. And the last story coming from this paper said, NOA flags off sensitization campaign on HIV/AIDS get rich quick syndrome. This NOA. Okay, Punch newspaper is our next paper before we start talking. The Punch. Tax reform, PDP, others urge talks as presidency defense bill. Okay, that was an executive bill. Senators Opeyemi, Dixon, Carlo, Reps, back bills. Opposition parties warn federal government against using force. Okay. We have seen the threats of Nwifuru, Ebonyi State Governor, minimum wage strike. Nwifuru fumes as 3 states, FCT grounded. Oh, he doesn't want his state to be grounded. Pay minimum wage then. Federal government auditors probe NMPCL's 2.7 trillion naira subsidy refund claim. 2027, APC dismisses threats by alleged splinter group. Low-income earners can withdraw total retirement savings. PENCOM says that. What does that mean? Low-income earners can withdraw total retirement savings. Okay. All right, down here, federal government protests Nigerian Army's probe by ICC. Tears as customs officer wife, four kids die in Osun fire. Too bad. Ajayi to appeal ruling upholding Ayedetiwa deputy's candidacy. Okay, same story of, and the picture, if you look at the picture at the center of this Punch newspaper, you see the block of duplexes. EFCC seizes 752 duplex estates, hides ex-government top shot's identity. We already know who has it, so no need hiding. Okay, let's start talking. Let's first of all look at what is going on with this the tax bill. Yes, tax reform bill. The other day, we saw some people protesting from the north, especially from the Borno, commending their governor that since you are not supporting the this tax reform, we are going to give you some awards. And then some people, Hannes yesterday said that we support it, let it go, that it's going to make, bring lessen the burden of, what do you call it? Producers, that's people that are producing, investors, let me just put it that way. And then now somebody is even using force to say, let it come, that nothing is going to happen, let that bill go. So what's your take on this?
Yes, the tax reform has been a very controversial issue in the recent time. You see different opinions from different stakeholders. Why the federal government is, supporting it, some opposition from the north, and in fact, majority of the northern governors, has opposed the tax reform. But what I think it is, there are things we need to understand. Reforms are fundamental. As time passes, as the event unfolds, there are needs for changes. Okay, the tax reform that was, the previous ones we had in the past is no longer obtainable according to the federal government. And there is need to review, okay, and introduce a more consolidated and integrated tax, changes to enable the federal government accommodate several interests. Do you understand? But I don't know why the North is kicking against it. Though I've had several, of the stakeholders saying that there is need for wider consultation. They are not totally against the tax reform, but there should be a public hearing where input will be drawn from various stakeholders. Do you understand? But that was not done. According to them, the bill came as an executive bill. But it is expected that they conduct a public hearing where an input will be made. At the end of the day, they will have a common ground where options will be, laid on the table. The Dixon he talked about is a spokesperson to Mr. President, who said heaven will not fall if that bill is introduced. That statement is undemocratic. We're in a democratic setting, and democracy is a government that is open for contestation and participation. Participation in idea, participation in contribution, participation in opinion gathering. Do you understand? That is why when most state governors want to prepare their bill, their budget, they will create a summit, open summit, where relevant stakeholders will come and make input. That input will now constitute what, will make up the budget. That is exactly what is needed in this tax reform. So that various stakeholders will come together, make an input. At the end of the day, they will now understand how it will go. Because we are leading the people. The people must have an input in whatever that the government is doing. The responsibility of the government is to implement whatever that is agreed. So the tax reform has its benefits and, its disadvantage. Okay. What is important is to understand if the positive impact is more favorable to Nigerians, let us move by that.
Okay, talking about democracy, what is it in this country, Seth, that you can say, especially during the section of this region, that you say that is being thrown to the public domain for people to choose what they want? I don't really understand.
Yes.
For somebody to just come up and say this, that NAS will pass the tax reform bills and heavens will not fall. And not just that, was it yesterday we got to know that majority of the House of Reps members are opposing it. So is it going to be the majority who will have their say while the minority have their way? Are they going to pass this bill if the number of people in the Senate that are saying nay are more than the people that are saying yes?
You see, whatever the executive has interest in, they must have a way of satisfying their conscience. That's what is called legislative lobbying. Do you understand? The period we are now is a period of lobbying. At the end of the day, the bill will have its way. Whatever the federal government has interest in, they will surely succeed. They had interest in local government autonomy. At the end of the whole bureaucratic and laborious process, they succeeded. So consider it done. We're a democracy by principle. But when it comes to practice, the executive will always have their way, whether the process is highly democratic or not.
So that's no, when you want to talk about that, I think there's no democracy in that one. If the majority cannot have their way, then that's not democracy. Let's move on. Governors back administrative financial autonomy for local governments.
Yes.
And then why are some states delaying the local government elections?
You see, it is no longer a political concept. It has become a legal issue. The Supreme Court has made pronouncements on that matter. And it is no longer something that somebody will be asked to implement or not. Recently, you see several state governors conducting local government election, and that is in response to the, in compliance to the Supreme Court, pronouncement. Anambra just conducted their own, Rivers and so many other states. And that is towards enhancing that local government financial autonomy. And I think it is already in place. Do you understand?
It's already in place, but just let's look at what this writer said, that they cries poor quality of election into councils across the state. Some people say that the election is still like appointments.
You see, if you talk about poor...
Where you have about 7 or 8 political parties contesting for, and then the one party gets everything.
Yes, if you talk about poor council election, the question should be what actually made it poor. Even the one conducted by INEC in 2023, was it not poor? You see, what we have is an advancement. And advancement is is usually into two, either in the positive side or in the negative side. Do you understand? After all, in the 2023 election, we were told that the result will be collected using the IRF. At the end of the day, was it what is obtainable? If you gather your evidence and go to court, at the end of the day, they say that the evidence are not, good enough to prove your matter. So I don't think there is basis. The election has been conducted.
So this is the way we will be living our lives in this country?
If you want to correct it, we'll correct it from the up. After all, it happened in 2015. It happened in 2019. It happened even recently in 2023. So many people have come to say that the mandate which the president is enjoying today was a manipulated mandate. They went to court. At the end of the day, I think what is important is anybody that is not satisfied with the outcome of the council election should go to court and get justice. Do you understand? Okay. We are in democracy, and that election is democratic. People voted, but how it happened is, a case for another day.
Okay. Thank you very much. Let's move on. Let's move to another paper now. Let's look at Daily Trust newspaper. Daily Trust newspaper, 229 police officers killed in 22 months. Too bad. And then other stories, tax reform bills. We have seen that Borno to construct Northwest Metro Trail Network. Why we moved our daughter's wedding to Beruson to Abuja as a private bill. Okay. And down here, minimum wage, workers, a short FCT, Kaduna, Nasarawa, and others. We're coming back to talk about this minimum wage. But then let's first of all look at the next paper, which is the Guardian newspaper. Electricity Act. States face subsidy burden as Lagos lists within $10 billion deal legislation. And this Guardian is usually very busy. We don't even know where to start looking at it. Nigeria raises, I've seen this story. NSC vows to pursue new wage implementation before January. It's Wahala, no, they finish from this place. Okay, human rights lawyer Dele Farotimi alleges a threat to life. Nigeria records 42,700 AIDS-related deaths yearly, says NEP1. Local council posts make mockery of democracy, Abbas says. Oh, okay. All right, let's look at Tribune, please. Tribune newspaper. Nigerian Tribune, TET Fund. Okay, tax reform bills, TET Fund. Naseni, NIDA won't be scrapped. Presidency clarifies if that is your fear. If they don't scrap it today, they might scrap it tomorrow. Just support the bill, let it go. Okay, assures proposed law won't benefit wealthier states disproportionately. And then why Senate will pass tax reforms bill. This is still coming from this thing. EFCC makes single largest asset recovery. There are positions you hold, you don't just talk carelessly. Okay, you can be doing what you're doing by not rubbing it on our faces. Government kidnap Lagos Abuja passengers in Kogi, demand 100 million naira ransom per person. And you are talking about tax. Look at what we are facing in this country. You can't move from one state to another, from one town to another, from one region to another. And nobody is doing anything as regards our security. Only the way to get money from us, the tax, the POS, Wahala, and the whole lot of things, just, reaping people just like that. Customs officer, wife, 4 children born to death. Very pathetic story there. Minimum wage, you are being unfair to us. Kaduna government tells NLC. Abia government debunks claims of non-implementation of new wage. Why Ebonyi government threatens to replace striking workers. Osun workers shut down secretariat to appreciate Adeleke. Nobody wants to have this kind of appreciation. You just want to be threatening workers anyhow. Okay, local government reforms more urgent now for Nigeria. Speaker House of Reps says we need to convince state governors and legislatures. Okay, any other story here? No. Yes.
Okay, the statement by the governor of Ebonyi State highly of the said minimum wage. But there should be a cordial relationship. There should be an understanding. There should be an extended negotiation where the NLC will come to understand, look at the position of the economy of the state. Every state doesn't have equal capacity in terms of financial resources. There are states that have more revenue, more than other states. You can't compare Anambra with Lagos. You can't compare Anambra with rivers. These are oil rivers, all the states in the Niger Delta. They're all rich states. Lagos has an enormous IGR. Do you understand? But upon that, Anambra paid the new minimum wage. Why can't Ebonyi State pay? So instead of negotiating with them, you are trying to use force on them. That statement is not ideal. It's not supposed.
A young politician that is just
okay, yes.
You are just body, you are just starting your political career.
Okay, so now the NLC has come to say that you need to pay. And we must engage you. I had the NLC president, Joe Ajuri, he replied, the governor, I think that was this morning, when he was saying that nothing is going to happen and we are going to pay. So I think what is important is for them to have an understanding and come to table through negotiation to see how they can ratify it. Because for workers to complain, it means that an unjust practice has just taken place.
Everybody go to the same market. So why would the workers in Anambra State be paid minimum wage and those of the Enugu paid and the Ebonyi State will not be paid? Are they going to shop from the same markets? Okay, so why would you want to impoverish your own workers? Tell them something they would like to hear. Let's look at this romance between the President Tinubu and Macron of France, where this press said that Nigeria looks to France after Trump's threat. Okay, just was it yesterday? We saw some. We saw the Tinubu and Tony Elumelu, you know, with Macron exchanging. Was it? What did they say is banking system or whatever? Yeah. We don't know what they're bringing home for us. But some people are asking, why would you want to take a romance from somebody, I mean, get into a romance with somebody that his own colonies has rejected? Okay, all the Francophone countries say we don't want France again, that they have impoverished us, we have not gained anything from them. And now a big country that's like Nigeria, that has alliance with Britain, is now moving over to France to occupy the place or the empty place that the Francophone countries have created. What kind of romance is that?
You see, when it comes to bilateral relations, a lot of issues are, are at stake. Do you understand? And you see, Nigeria is passing through a very precarious economic situation. And President Tinubu, in an attempt to see whether he can provide solution to some of these issues, are looking right and left. Do you understand? It doesn't care about the ideological perspective of some of these countries and even the economic economic background. What he's interested is he's just looking at a way through subtle diplomacy. If you watch recently, he has been traveling from one country to another, seeking partnership. And Elumelu is a business tycoon. Do you understand?
I wonder how many countries he has traveled, the number of times he has traveled to France.
Yes.
Even during his campaign era.
He has not, but he just started. So I think what he's trying to do is to look at options and see how he can bring economic prosperity as he promised, which is not forthcoming.
Sounds very funny. But what do? We must continue. Okay, let's look at what the FCC is, EFCC is patting themselves on the back for. So EFCC makes history, recovers 753 duplexes from government officials. And you keep wondering, when you hear this kind of story, how would this country that you are jumping from one place to another trying to ask for aid, how would they be looking at you that a single individual owns this number of duplexes in a country that is begging for food?
That is the irony of our that is the irony of our governance system. You see, when these names are mentioned, you discover that it could be senators and governors. The same governors who are finding it difficult now to pay minimum wage will end up be the one that acquire all these mansions you've talked about. So I think the problem we have in Nigeria is problem of leadership. Not that the resources are not there. The resources are there. But the way it is managed, the way it is, spent, do you understand? Some spend the resources for their own selfish interests. Some spend it in the interest of the larger majority of the Nigerians. But those who spend it in the interest of Nigerians, how many are they? See, let me tell you, we are talking about borrowing. If we manage the one we have, we may not have the need to borrow. Let me give you an example. Governor Soludo has not borrowed a dime. Yet he's doing all the infrastructural development and the paying workers and doing every other thing that is needed. He hasn't borrowed a dime. Mm-hmm. Why must we continue to borrow? Yet we have the resources. Why can't we manage the one we have? Be prudent, be effective in fiscal policy. At the end of the day, we don't need to borrow. Our problem is corruption. We have the resources to make this country what it is going to be. If Anambra put her house in order, Enugu did the same. Likewise, every other the same for that state. The society we are will be a better place. But the problem we have is that federal government will be doing their own. State governors, some state governors will be sabotaging the effort by not doing the needful in their own state. If we need to develop Nigeria, just like Governor Soludo is doing today in Anambra, if other states are doing the same, before you know it, everywhere will be, developed. That is the problem we have. Then another question that needs to be asked. All these properties that EFCC is securing now, what is the accountability process? How accountable are they in releasing the fund generated from these properties that was seized? Who polices the EFCC? They only tell us what they have, secured or retrieved from politicians. What is the accountability in terms of, depositing same to the national treasury? It's a matter of concern because it is public fund that was retrieved. How is it kept? Nobody knows about it.
Okay, nobody knows about it. And one question that somebody watching us will be asking now. What will a man, perhaps in his 50s or 60s, will be doing with this number of buildings? I mean, what will he be doing with the money accruable to them?
They acquire for themselves.
Why do people acquire what they don't need? What exactly are you going to do with all this money? What?
They acquire for themselves, for their children, and even children unborn. And that is why you see an empire growing for the detriment of others who, keep on begging while some have grown and will continue to grow. So there is serious need to sanitize our governance system.
Okay, who sanitizes when we say that the process that brings them in is strong, faulted, and nobody wants to talk about that? So how do you expect them to live right when they come in anyhow? I think we'll have to start from the basics. Let's move on. Borno to build North's first intra-city rail network. Okay, when is the Southeast building their own?
Thank God you said to build. They have not started it. Do you understand?
But they propose it now. Isn't that when you propose there you start
working? And Borno, is capital of Boko Haram. Do you understand? And that is why they are saying they need a Northeast or whatever development commission. At the end of the day, see, the problem we have in this country is that we'll come up with a fantastic project or program. At the end of the day, when the money is released, they will bring political situation to it. At the end of the day, that project will not be done. So let's forget about all this proposal. What is important is what is the political will, the boldness to take action. That is the problem.
Okay, forget about them. Let's talk about us. Don't you think we need it down here?
Of course, we need it. So, and recently, you saw that Southeast economic whatever was inaugurated, and they are planning on, they are talking about it now. The strategies and master plan is in progress. Maybe by next year, they will come up with a tangible project.
Okay. All right, let's look at what's trending between the federal government and the military when they said, stop probe of Nigerian military, AGF, Fabemi tells ICC.
Yes. The Attorney General of the Federation and Minister for Justice, Lateef Fabemi, made that statement. And that yes, I think he made some point. He said the military, okay, have continued to lay down their lives to protect the Nigerian people. And they're dragging them to ICC. And
who dragged them?
And will automatically distract their principal objective, which is to secure the lives and property of Nigerians. So he said they should have some preferential treatment owing to the fact that they always lay down their life to protect me and you. That was his argument. He said that the military need a good mental health that is devoid of any distractions and what have you. But you see, that statement is good, but it has its own lapses. Whatever anybody is doing, you must do it in line with the law.
Otherwise, you answer the law.
Yes, you cannot use
because I asked you who dragged them to this. Is it the CLOs? Because you don't just do anything the way you like here. Somebody will just stop you. A military guy will stop you on the way and tell you that if you talk, I'll shoot you.
Yes.
If you do this, I'll kill you. And you want to ask, what have I done for you to be threatening me that way? He will cock his gun and shoot you. And that's the end of it.
And that is very bad.
A civilian that has nothing on him, nothing to defend himself, and has not actually committed any offense. Also, like, you do this kind of thing, you get away with it, and when you are dragged to the court, you say that you need good mental health. So who doesn't need it? The person you killed?
I think we need some level of sanitization in the military architecture, in fact, the entire security architecture. But since we are talking about the military, there is serious need for sanitization to bring, to handle the bad eggs. We have the bad eggs, we have the good eggs. Have you noticed that when you come to military checkpoint, they will ask all the drivers in the commercial vehicle to come down, and they will have to walk, past the military checkpoint before they will have to enter the vehicle again.
Imagine such humiliation.
So most times I now begin to think,
such humiliation.
These harmless people who have no gun with them, why must you subject even the sick one among them who have to come down? And
pregnant women, nursing mothers, they don't care.
These are some of the things.
You just have to study. This kind of oppression, as if you are in a war situation, as if you are being punished for an offense you committed, somehow, or I don't know.
There is need for sanitization in the military architecture.
Okay.
Very important.
Thank you. Let's see how it starts. Okay, thank you very much, Dominic Okamwe. Thank you for joining us this morning to look at the pages of the newspapers. And I must say that you did justice to that. Thank you so much. Thank you, our viewers. See you next time. Okay, thank you very much. And that's newspaper review for you this morning. Stand by as we take you over to the other side of the pond as we look at the 2024 International Day of Persons with Disability. Good morning.